making an impact that will last long after we die. So that's the first thing that I think of when you say legacy. So I think if Biotessia is remembered as an African company that came and disrupted and transformed the healthcare system in a positive way, with access to available and affordable tests to every citizen on the continent, would be a wonderful legacy.
I love that legacy.
I'm a firm believer that with baby steps and small milestones and scaling up to the rest of the continent, we should be able to. But again, I would like to emphasize that education is important to change mindsets. And that's why Biotessia wants to create an impact and a long-term legacy through education, research, and development. And that's our overall mission. And that's the legacy that we want to leave.
Hi, everyone. This is Jacob Fortune with Doers Within Us. This is a continuation of our collaboration with the African Diaspora Network, part of the program that I'm interviewing some really amazing builders of Africa's future. Literally, the program is called Builders of Africa's Future Program. And it has been an honor to interview some really amazing fellows at the Builders of Africa's Futures Cohort of 2022. And I'm really, really honored and, just a great privilege to have another amazing entrepreneur who all of us are going to learn about today. And she actually just took the time out of her busy schedule to be here for us to hear about her story, what she's building in Africa, and also kind of learn from her and some inspirational questions. Welcome, Hanane Chaibainou. I hope I pronounced it right. Please.
Good morning, Jacob. Yes, correct. This is Hanane Chaibainou, Dr. Hanane Chaibainou. Yes.
So Hanane Chaibainou. And Hanane, thank you so much for being here. And please, we're looking forward to learning from you. The listeners are looking forward to learning from you today. So please, can we just start? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Jacob. I'm Dr. Hanane Chaibainou. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Biotessia, a biotech company based in Casablanca, Morocco. Before we start this podcast, I would like to thank you, Jacob, and Doers Within Us for hosting me today, and as well as the Builders of Africa and the AMI, the African Management Institute, for this wonderful opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure and honor. So thank you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So just for us to start off, can you just tell us how did you grow up? What was it like? Did you grow up in Morocco? What was the experience, with your parents? Can you just give us a picture of what it was like, your primary school experience, secondary school experience, or just your early years, formative years?
Thank you, Jacob. So as I said, I was born and raised in France. I'm the firstborn in a family of two. Both of my parents were civil servants of our Kingdom of Morocco. And this really explains my strong attachment and patriotism for my beloved country. I spent my life in the USA and Morocco. I practice as a DNP in functional neurosurgery, specializing in Parkinson's disease and essential tremor. And I recently graduated with my doctorate from the University of Pennsylvania.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Jacob. So additionally, I function as the CEO and co-founder of Biotessia, based in Casablanca, Morocco. But as I said, every summer, I used to spend my vacation at my grandparents' house in Benguerir, which is 70 kilometers north of Marrakesh, which also expanded, I would say, my attachment to my country. And when I was young, I witnessed how women and children had difficulty accessing routine diagnostic testing and preventative medicine, especially in rural and remote areas in small cities and villages of Morocco. woman, for example, would travel up to 5 hours for a routine test that is needed. And the fact that I was also president of the Association Nahda for Education and Development, as well as representing Morocco, the Kingdom of Morocco at the first Youth Forum with the UNESCO, really reinforced my desire to make a change in our continent and be part of the change.
Awesome. That is incredible. By the way, congratulations on completing a doctorate. First of all, completing at the University of Pennsylvania in anything is hard. And completing a doctorate is outstanding. So it's such such an excellence is just highly has to be highly praised. And thank you for your work. I know we'll get into your work, but thank you so much for your work and what you're doing. And thanks for sharing about your background.
Thank you, Jacob.
So we talked, were there along the way, maybe doing your doctorate or starting the company, do you have any mentors in your University of Pennsylvania that helped you kind of launch the company, or maybe help you how to file for an LLC if you did? Were there any people along the way that just helped you to get you on your feet as you started this company, or maybe any emotional support you had along the way?
So any mentors that I've had in my life, would you say, overall?
Yeah. Yes, I think specifically for your company.
Sure. So I'll tell you that I've been lucky enough to have, I would say, many mentors in my life. I believe that no one mentor can be enough to guide your path in all the things that you may encounter in life or in your career. So I can say that I was fortunate enough to be very close to my grandmother, who was my first mentor, I would say, my mother and my daughters, to name a few. But I would say that Builders of Africa and AMI, the African Management Institute, have been great mentors and partners that share the same vision, which is building Africa's tomorrow. And we are truly grateful and honored to be part of this 2022 cohort, and understanding us and our vision and what we want to accomplish, and supporting us through this journey. We joined this program looking for partners that believe in us, in Biotessia's vision, and understanding and supporting what we are trying to achieve. So I would say that my Biotechia team and co-founders, who through each of them have mentored me, I would say, in their own way, to make me the CEO that I am today. So we have, since day one, always supported each other. And a lot of people have been part of this journey, and they all know who they are. And by this token, actually, I would like to thank each and every one of them and express my sincerest gratitude to them on behalf of the entire Biotechia team.
Amazing. And let's get into the Biotechia as a company. So how did this all get started? What was we always have visions, we always have things to build, but when did you actually pull the plug and said, okay, I'm gonna get this company together, this is gonna be like an entity? How was that process like? Please give us a background.
So, what I can tell you, Jacob, is that I cannot really pinpoint to a single factor, but rather a multitude of events that really contributed and catalyzed the creation of Biotechia. We, as members of the Moroccan diaspora, have contemplated being actors of the sanitary reform that His Majesty has initiated. And I think the pandemic also was a catalyst. For example, I'll take a simple example that, did you know that, for example, a PCR test would cost like over $60 to $80 US, and that, for example, the lack of testing availability, and that many Moroccans would have to travel hours to receive a diagnostic PCR test for various pathogens and viruses. as well as other critical lab tests for many chronic diseases. So that's also one of the reasons, basically, that in an effort to empower Morocco's preventive healthcare system and improve health outcomes and solve actually this issue, reduce the cost, but also speed up the turnaround time, Biotechia has come up with an innovative approach in alignment, of course, with our King's vision and the universal health coverage to solve this issue for underserved populations and minority populations, and which is an innovative solution that is sustainable and scalable to the rest of our continent. And fortunately, Biotechia envisions like I would say, a threefold solution centered around the 3 A's, which is availability, affordability, and accessibility. And Biotechia really seeks to provide faster and cheaper medical diagnostics for rural and underserved populations. I hope this answers and gives you an idea on how the company started and how what was the opportunity that made us make the move.
Most definitely, most definitely. I love those 3 A's. I think most in most emerging markets, or or growth markets, or depending on what definition you have, those 3 A's are very important. And I think democratizing that, it can really leverage a lot of people, and provide opportunities for a lot of people to access the healthcare that they need. So I think the work is outstanding. The foundation sounds really sound and meaningful to what communities will definitely need. So that's amazing. Just getting to that, what were some of the early challenges that you faced before, when you were starting this company? In terms of maybe, did you have any, maybe if it was difficult raising money, or was it difficult, getting
So what I would say is one of actually the biggest hurdle that Biotechia has faced early on in its establishment was obtaining and securing sufficient funding, especially as a startup. Like locating financial sources and applying to various grants has certainly been a challenge.
Got you. And do you think, so was there any support? And there was a lot of gratitude you shared with your teammates, your co-founder, and as well as the African Diaspora Network. How did these platforms, or how did the co-founder or your teammates help you to really overcome this hurdle of funding, or perhaps other challenges that you may have faced early on in the process of building this amazing company?
So as I said earlier, luckily enough, we're 5 co-founders who have a very strong desire to impact and support the Moroccan health reform initiated by our king. As for me, I can tell you that since a very young age, as I said, I wanted to be an actor of change as the former president of the Association, as I said earlier. So I always looked for ways to impact healthcare for women and children. And spending those summers at my great-grandfather's house, where we originally from, in Benguir, I told you, outside of Marrakesh, and seeing how women needed the basics routine tests really was a must, because that was really heartbreaking. And I felt that there was an urge to make a change. So my other 4 co-founders had the same desire for years, but the timing was not optimal. And one of my co-founders actually has been involved in the healthcare field and was very conscious of the areas needing improvement, and therefore co-creating Biotessia was a step in the right direction.
That's great. It's hard to find one co-founder. It's impossible to find 2 co-founders.
Well, we got lucky. We ended up with 5.
Very hard. It's very hard. So for now, I know you're part of the Builders of Africa's future, Building Africa for Tomorrow, and there's resources, support, mentorship, and all that. As a team, what do you guys envision in the next 2 years. I always said 5 years, but COVID happens. Things can happen. So I now take it to 2 years. 2 years seems more practical. So what are some of the plans?
To anticipate as far as plans. So we anticipate scaling up to the rest of our African continent. Our King's vision has always been inclusive with our South cooperation, which is Coopération Sud-Sud. We also want to scale up our impact to the rest of Africa, while looking to expand our revenues and expand into the rest of the continent. So we have already identified 4 African countries that we have started discussions with, and we are eager to start within 2 years, to be realistic. So to go back to your 2 years that you just mentioned.
Oh. Is Cameroon part of those countries?
Not in the 4, unfortunately, but you never know. Things happen very fast. So
that's hurtful.
We're optimistic where we will scale up to the rest of the continent.
I'm looking forward to that. Thanks so much for bringing that up. So this now it's a bunch of questions that just has to do with it's a form of very personal but also very inspirational questions for people to know what drives you and what motivates you, but what you want to leave as a legacy. Just 2 surprising questions here. What was the most defining moment of your career building this company? You can talk about a very big success or a very huge failure. Do you have any defining moments within building this company that was a great success that you want to share, or a failure that inspired you to say, you know what, I can do this, I can keep going, I can continue building this company?
Well, what I can tell you for sure is that what I can say that one was, what am I most proud of, I would say, is really my team, the amazing team, meeting and building this together. I truly believe that we're lucky to have each other, an amazing team of professionals always. And greatest success or failure, like you just asked, I would say being open-minded and accepting all the challenges you're facing, and finding a solution to continue to move forward. So I think learning and growing as an individual, but also as an entrepreneur, is really my greatest success.
Awesome. And would that be the advice you give to other entrepreneurs?
So who are considering starting a business or a startup? Okay, so I would say to any fellow entrepreneurs listening to this podcast, I advise you to always believe in yourself. Never doubt your ability to pursue your dreams. And to be a successful entrepreneur, make the most of every and each opportunity. Be prepared, alert at all times, and most of all, ready to network. I cannot begin to emphasize the importance of establishing solid relationships. So what I would say, keep going, be bold, and be brave.
That's beautiful. Books or a podcast or any materials that has helped you that you would recommend to entrepreneurs or even business leaders, managers, to just look up and can be a guide for them? Any books you have in mind or any podcasts?
Oh, I didn't hear the first part, so I heard materials, but you mentioned books. I highly recommend the book African Girl, African Woman by the talented Moroccan author, Dr. Hind Bouhiya. This book, I would say, particularly struck a chord with me since it explores the pivotal role played by the African woman in realizing the African digital and technological revolution. It is a motivational book about women empowerment. And the book is really a testament of how dreams can happen through a solid education, deep-rooted values, and perseverance. I truly believe that it is a must read for any aspiring young female entrepreneur. The second book that I could recommend would be The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. And it's a book really that investigates the main cause of team failure while describing the setbacks that teams usually face when working together. So it's really about team building. And according to this book, the main 5 dysfunctions are, first of all, the absence of trust, which is a foundation when you're working and collaborating with other people, fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and inattention to results. And as you know, you have to be very detailed oriented. So these 5 dysfunctions are the main, I would say, cause of failures in companies or any teams. And I really enjoyed reading this book, and I highly recommend it to anyone who is considering the entrepreneurial world and wanting to work closely with the rest of their team. Girl, African woman. And the second one, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team.
Those books are great. I get on those books.
Did you write them down? Are you planning to put them on your reading list?
I have. I mean, those are really. I can't believe you actually remember all the 5 dysfunctions.
Because they make you do like a workshop. You have to remember them.
Yes.
So trust, conflict, commitment, lack of accountability, and inattention to results.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. Yeah. To all our listeners, please get the books. Those 2 books. I think it's it will really change your life.
Yeah, great book.
They'll change your life. What has been the best advice you've ever received? So we talked about the best advice you've ever received, and you give putting yourself 100% into everything you do. And the second thing was success get to you or failure get to your heart.
Yes, success get to your head, and never let your failures get to your heart.
Your heart. Wow, that's powerful. That is, I think you have 2 things. You always have two book recommendation, 2 advice. It comes in pairs. Thanks for that. That's brilliant. So for us, the last 2 questions here, as we kind of wind down here. Is there if someone knows you best, anybody that knows you best, what would they say, or that describes you? Anybody that knows you best, maybe it's kind of a co-founder, a close friend. What do you think they'll say best about you?
A compassionate leader. That's how they always call me, because I really truly think that what we're trying to do here is make an impact. The goal of Biotechia and the first our mission when we first joined this journey is really to make an impact. And when they nominated me or chose me as their CEO, they saw that there is like a feature that you have to have is compassion, especially when you're dealing with health, which is one of the pillars of any society, I would say. I mean, there are 3 pillars in any society, and I always say the 3 of them are education, health, and justice. And health is an important one. And I think this pandemic experience made us realize that it is an important component of our everyday life. So I would say, they would say that I'm a compassionate leader, that thinks strategically, like to embrace change, but also share knowledge. So I think that would be a good way. I mean, I hope I'm right. I'll ask him after this podcast if they agree with me.
I mean, I can sense that, to be honest. There's some, I think, even when you speak, I can tell there's some level of strategy. You kind of think in layers, which is great for a leader. When you talk, I can see the passion. It's not just something you do because you had to, but it sounds like you really believe in the mission and the goal of it, and so I can see it.
Thank you, Jacob.
Looks very genuine, and thanks. Just thank you for being here, for being in the world, and for sharing your work. It's very hard to find people that have all the skills that you have, and to actually use it for what you're using it for. Right? I think some people in your position might, go work for a big pharma, which is fine, and he does some great work in the world. But you decide to do something like this that is really difficult and very challenging. So I really want to appreciate and actually use this opportunity to say thank you for your work. And we hope we're here to support in any way possible. And for us to just round up the podcast, how do you want your legacy to be? What do you want people to remember you for, the work, or as a person, as a female entrepreneur that is actually one of the, I would say, a frontier in this space? How do you want to see your work moving forward?
So, I mean, you use the word legacy, and to me, legacy is making an impact that will last long after we die. So that's the first thing that I think of when you say legacy. So I think if Biotechia is remembered as an African company that came and disrupted and transformed the healthcare system in a positive way, with access to available and affordable tests to every citizen on the continent, would be a wonderful legacy.
I love that legacy.
I'm a firm believer that with baby steps and small milestones and scaling up to the rest of the continent, we should be able to. But again, I would like to emphasize that education is important to change mindsets. And that's why Biotechia wants to create an impact and a long-term legacy through education, research, and development. And that's our overall mission. And that's the legacy that we want to leave.
Amazing, amazing. And I have to say, this legacy will come to fruition. It will not just be a maybe, it will happen. I believe in just positive conviction, but you have all the skill sets and the resources to do that, and I'm excited for the future. It's great to have people like you here in doing the work in Africa. And just a behind story, my roommate in past college, right after college, was Moroccan, so we used to watch a lot of I've had just a wonderful time with this great friend of mine who's Moroccan, and we used to watch a lot of soccer. I had a great time, so it's great to meet another fellow Moroccan.
Great.
Many years later. So, but thank you so much, Hanane.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for the invitation. I can tell you that it's an absolute privilege and honor to be part of this collaboration, and I hope to continue to collaborate with the African Diaspora Network, with the African Management Institute and Builders of Africa, the entire cohort, as I said, and hopefully to remain in touch and collaborate, not only just during the program, but even after. And hopefully come back to Doers with us and give you updates on how we're doing in a year or so, and how we're scaling up to the rest of the continent.
Definitely. Invitations open anytime. And I'm excited to come to Casablanca sometime in the future. I'd love to. For sure. No, thank you so much. And to all our listeners, just a great entrepreneur, part of Builders of Africa's Future. And please, if you have feedback, comments, reach out to us at jacob@germanycorp.com. And really excited for this cohort. So thanks again, Hanane, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thank you. Bye, Jacob.